We begin with the dramatic fall from grace of an Australian sporting hero. Craig McDermott was a tearaway young fast bowler known to his fans as Billy the Kid. In retirement, McDermott turned his hand to property development, but his business collapsed, owing trusting investors millions.
I would describe him as a liar and a thief.
Like, he's taken a lot of money from a lot of people now, you know, where's it gone?
It's a very sad story for the people who have invested money with him, basically on the strength of the fact that he can bowl fast.
Craig McDermott, where's my money?
Investors bowled over by cricketer turned property developer Craig McDermott.
I lost $185,000.
The loan was for $300,000.
There's $100,000 outstanding.
And the amount we're talking about is $500,000.
Can we ask you some questions about the millions of dollars that the people's money that you've lost?
Number one, I blame Craig McDermott.
After initially earning interest on her investment, battler Bronwyn Woolbank says it's now all gone.
I thought, being an Australian sports star, he would have pride and integrity, and that yes, he would do the right thing by investors.
I don't necessarily think that being an Australian icon necessarily means that he was a good businessman.
Liquidator Susan Carter is trying to sort out the mess.
I have 159 claimants with debts totalling just over $21 million.
And most of these are mum and dad investors?
It seems that most of them are superannuation funds or mum and dads.
We're talking about mum and dad investors here. Have you got anything to say to them, all that money that you lost?
Look, I even asked Craig face to face, is there any clouds on the horizon surrounding his business that I should be aware of that could affect this particular loan? And he looked at me in the eye and he said, no, there isn't.
James Mulvaney didn't invest money, he lent Craig McDermott $500,000 as part of a business deal just weeks before the former fast bowler went bankrupt.
He gave me his own personal guarantee. He explained his wealth in his property and all the land holdings that he has. He showed me pictures of the land that he owns.
Craig McDermott owned a string of half-completed developments, but James says McDermott was a friend who'd even been a guest at his wedding. So James agreed to mortgage his home and give his mate the money.
This was premeditated deception. He gambled with my money.
He's just walked away scot-free. He's just walked away. He hasn't, there's never been an apology, there's never been anything.
Brenda and Ken are James's parents. They also loaned Craig McDermott $300,000, their superannuation.
He actually even swore on his children's lives to me that our investment with his company would be safe and that we would get our money back. How anybody could do that is beyond me.
Before James and his parents handed over $750,000, they asked for some form of security. So Craig McDermott gave them an agreement in writing that if anything went wrong, they'd be given 2 units in this complex he developed here on the Gold Coast. Trouble was, when things did go wrong, the Mulvaneys found that these units were already mortgaged to other lenders and his guarantee was worthless.
We're talking about people like the Mulvaneys, James Mulvaney, who was a friend of yours. He says you owe him $400,000.
The money was lost, I'm sorry about that.
Well, is that good enough? They say you knew you were in trouble before you lent them. They lent you that money.
A secured loan turned out to be unsecured. It had no value at all. And he knew that, and he knew exactly what he was doing.
Were you in trouble before you lent them that money?
And from what I've seen of the books and records, they're inadequate and they're certainly out of date. So how anybody can manage a multi-million-dollar company with out-of-date records is anyone's guess.
Craig McDermott's fall from grace has been as fast as his bowling. 4 years ago, he was listed in BRW's Young Rich list. Today, he's bankrupt, owing an estimated $40 million. But somehow, he still manages to live in this waterfront mansion and drive expensive cars.
I think he's just irresponsibly spent up big, didn't take care of the business that he was trying to promote. Obviously he's got some of the money because he lives in a big posh house and got nice cars to drive around in.
The house is in McDermott's wife's name and was passed in at auction last week for almost $6 million. A lot more than Ken and Brenda Mulvaney expect to get for their home, which they now have to sell because they've lost their super.
Yeah, we're being forced into a lifestyle change, which we didn't want.
This was your retirement home, your dream home.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because she's lost most of her super, Bronwyn's had to get work gardening. And Melbourne couple Carmen and Eddie Lewicki say McDermott has never fronted creditors to explain.
Very convenient to go bankrupt. You know, there's got to be money somewhere.
Yeah.
Liquidator Susan Carter says she'll now investigate McDermott's wife Anne-Marie in the hunt for the cash.
Who may have borrowed money from the company or one of the companies to enhance or appreciate her real property. I don't know.
What kind of a person does this to people they know? How do you sleep at night?
That's just sad all round, isn't it? And creditors are now trying to raise money for a fighting fund to pay for an investigation into where their